My name is Mick Koloff. I live in Korea now, but I live in Australia now, sorry. I served in Korea with the British Army, with the tank regiment. I'd never heard about Korea. I didn't know where it was. Couldn't even point on a map where Korea was. But anyway, I was serving in Germany, and we were sent from Germany back to the UK to familiarise ourselves with the Centurion tank, which is a heavy tank used in the armour. And after 6 weeks, we were put on a ship, the Empire Hallidale, at Liverpool, and it took us 6 weeks to get from Liverpool in England to Busan. When we got to Busan, there was an American band on the docks. They were playing "If I Knew You Were Coming, I'd Have Baked a Cake," which we thought was hilarious. We were then unloaded, put onto flat cars, and sent on these flat cars from Busan to Uijeongbu. We went to Uijeongbu. That's the only Korean place I can remember going up to. I remember Seoul, yes, I remember that. But it was in the middle of the night, pitch black. We were given a bag of rations. The first ration we had was corned beef sandwiches, an apple, which we couldn't eat because it was frozen solid. And during the middle of the night, the train stopped because they said there was going to be an air raid. There was no air raid, but we just stopped there. And some little boys came out in the dark, and they wanted to know if we wanted to swap some food for what they had. All they had was apples. We gave them what we had, just sandwiches and a piece of fruit cake. That's what we were given. And they gave us these apples, and we could not bite these apples. We had to hit it with a bayonet, and it shattered like glass. It was frozen solid. Anyway, when we got up to Uijeongbu, it was a case of taking over from another regiment who were pulling out from Korea, and we took over their positions, and we had Alpha, Beta, and Charlie squadrons. 3 squadrons were sent to 3 different areas, some on the Indian River, I don't know the names of the Korean locations, I just know that it was Hill 355, Greenfinger, Winston Churchill, Jane Russell. These were all features in Korea. And by then, we weren't told very much about what's going on. We just got what we call a sit-rep every morning, a situation report. We were told what action was going on during the night, what we had been through. And I remember being hit by 99 mortars one night on the tank. It didn't make much difference. It blew all the camouflage nets off and the antenna for the radios. But it wasn't a very pleasant place. It was just a case of very, very cold in the winter and very hot in the summer. Rations were very meagre unless you got combat rations, which were supplied by the Americans. Our normal British rations were bully beef and hardtack biscuits. And these tins of bully beef were 7-pound tins that left over from the Second World War. And when you took the top off, we had a hiss of gas coming from the meat, and the meat was black. So you had to cut the outside off with your knife and then get to the real piece of meat underneath, the bully beef. And we had hardtack biscuits full of weevils. We should tap them on the side. We also had what they call POM, which is powdered potato, dehydrated potato. And I can distinctly remember the cook used to ask us, "What would you like today? Would you like a bit of steak and chips?" And say, "No, just give us the usual." And he'd say, "How would you want your potato? Mashed, fried?" It was all the same. It was just boiled, powdered potato. That was what we had. Combat rations were good. Whenever we could, if we could get to an American camp, they were very generous. We could get from the Marines anything you could pick off the table. Whatever they were eating, they'd give you. And at the end of the table, there was stuff donated by American firms. There was things like Hershey bars, writing material, torches, pens, writing paper, and right at the end, you put your name down and you got a Chicago Herald Tribune sent to you once a month. Very handy because you had nothing else to read, and it was very useful at the end of that period to use as toilet paper as well. the thing that left me my lasting memory of Korea was the suffering of little children. It really left a mark on me. And normally I wouldn't shed tears, but after seeing little babies and little girls and boys and the condition they were in, it really affected me. I did more than a year in Korea. I was then claimed by my elder brother to his regiment, which was an artillery regiment. So I went over to spend now 3 months with them. We then went from Korea. We said farewell to the friends in Busan who were lying sleeping in the cemetery. We went from there to Hong Kong for another year or just over. And by that time, because we had come from Germany, with our overseas with 3 years, we went back to UK. And within 5 months of getting back to UK, I was then called up again for Cyprus. We were sent to Cyprus for a year. In the meantime, I got married on one day, on the 22nd of October 1955, and on the 24th of October, I was on an aircraft carrier on my way to Cyprus, where I spent a year. Having done that, I came back to leave the army for a few months and got called up again, only to be called up for Suez Canal trouble. So, anyway, that's a part of my life, and I'm quite happy. I've been married 62 years now to the same woman. I've got one daughter, and I live in Australia now. I'm quite happy with my lot. I've never been back to the UK. I have no desire to go back there. I'm just been involved with the Korean War Veteran Association here. I've been their president for over 10 years. I'm still the president emeritus and their quartermaster. So I just do what I can to help my fellow man. I do a lot of hospital visits. I visit people who are in nursing homes who've had sickness, strokes, dementia. That's as much as I can do with my fellow man. And I hope one day, and I've also decreed that when I pass away and I leave this mortal coil, that my body goes for research. I don't want a funeral. I don't want anything left of me. It'll go to the University of New South Wales. And I'll say my goodbyes there. Thank you.